Have you ever wondered if the universe behaves differently when you're not looking at it? It sounds like a scene from a science fiction movie, but in the world of quantum physics, this is a proven fact. Today, we are going to talk about the Double Slit Experiment, perhaps the most famous and mind-blowing experiment in history. But I'm not here to give you a boring science lecture. I'm here to show you how this specific discovery is the key to why your bank account, your health, and your relationships look the way they do right now. I remember when I first stumbled upon this, I was struggling to change my life, feeling like I was hitting a wall every single day. When I understood that a particle only becomes solid because it's being observed, everything clicked. I realized I was accidentally fixing my problems in place just by staring at them. If you've been feeling stuck, it's likely because you're practicing the wrong kind of observation. If you find this perspective helpful, I invite you to subscribe to the channel. We are building a community of people who don't just wish for a better life, but actually understand the mechanics of how to create one. Your support helps this channel grow and allows me to keep bringing you these deep insights to you. To help you ground these concepts, I've left some resources for you. In the video description, you'll find my recommended books on quantum creation. I've also left a free material there about equal hours, those repeating numbers that are actually signals from the field that your observation is starting to shift. So, are you ready to understand how your gaze is literally freezing your reality? Let's dive into the mystery of the particle and the wave, and most importantly, how to bring this into your daily practice right now. The mystery of the particle and the wave. To understand how to change your life, you first have to understand what your life is actually made of. For centuries, we believed that the world was made of solid stuff, like little marbles of matter that just sit there. But then came the Double Slit Experiment, and it turned everything we thought we knew about reality upside down. Imagine scientists shooting tiny bits of matter, called electrons, through two slits in a barrier. If these electrons were just tiny marbles, you'd expect them to land on the screen behind the slits in two straight lines, right? Like sand falling through two holes. But that's not what happened. When scientists let the electrons travel through the slits, they formed a pattern of multiple lines, an interference pattern. This is exactly how waves behave, like ripples in a pond. This was the first "wait, what?" moment in quantum physics. It meant that matter, at its very core, isn't just a thing. It's a wave of possibility. It exists in many places at once, in a state of fluid potential. Now, let's bring this to your daily practice. What does a wave of possibility look like in your life? Think about your bank account. Right now, you might see a specific number, let's say $50. To your physical eyes, that is a solid marble, a fixed and unchangeable fact. But in the quantum field, your financial state is actually a wave. It contains the possibility of $50, $5,000, or $5 million. All those versions exist simultaneously as waves. The shock came when scientists decided to place a measuring device, or a camera, near the slits to see which hole the electron actually went through. They wanted to catch the electron in the act. And here is where it gets spooky. The moment the camera watched the electron, it stopped acting like a wave. It suddenly started acting like a solid little marble again. It landed in just two straight lines. The simple act of observing it forced the wave of many possibilities to collapse into a single solid reality every single day. I want you to really feel the weight of this. The electron knew it was being watched, and it changed its behavior because of the observer. In my journey, when I first grasped this, I had a massive realization. I looked at my messy apartment, my debt, and my stagnant career, and I realized I am the camera. By constantly watching my problems, by focusing on them, measuring them, and worrying about them, I was the one forcing the wave of infinite possibilities to collapse into the same boring, painful, solid particle every single day. Think about how this happens in your life. Imagine you have a difficult relationship with someone at work. In the quantum field, that person is a wave. They have the potential to be kind, to be neutral, or to be difficult. But every morning, before you even get to the office, you turn on your camera. You expect them to be difficult. You observe them through the lens of your past arguments. By doing this, you are measuring them. You are forcing their wave of possibilities to collapse into the difficult person particle. You are literally not giving them a quantum chance to be anything else because your observation is so fixed. This is the mechanical reason why most people's lives never change. They think they are just reporting on their reality. I'm just saying I'm broke because my bank app says I'm broke. But they don't realize that the act of reporting is actually the act of creating. You aren't just seeing the world, you are pinning it down. When scientists saw this, they realized that the observer is not separate from the experiment. There is no objective world out there that exists independently of you. This means that your life isn't happening to you, it is responding to you. If you feel like your life is stuck, it's because you are a very consistent observer. You are so good at observing your current limitations that the universe has no choice but to keep turning those waves of potential into the same solid problems. So, how do we practically apply this wave versus particle concept today? Start by recognizing the solid traps in your day. A solid trap is anything you look at and think, this is just how it is. It's your weight, your income, your lonely Friday nights. The moment you say, this is how it is, you are the scientist placing the camera at the slit and forcing the wave to become a particle. Instead, I want you to start practicing quantum fluidity. When you look at your bank account, instead of saying, I am broke, try saying, this is just one version of the wave that has collapsed today, but the wave of abundance is still there, vibrating with all other possibilities. You aren't lying to yourself, you're actually being more scientifically accurate than the person who thinks the $50 is the only reality. I remember a student who was trying to manifest a new home. She was living in a very small, dark basement apartment. Every day she would wake up and feel the solidity of those cramped walls. She was observing the basement so hard that she was trapped in it. I told her, stop being the camera that looks for the dust and the dark. Start being the observer of the potential house that exists in the same space. She started to treat her basement as if it were a temporary wave and focused her internal observation on the feeling of sunlight and space. She wasn't ignoring reality, she was choosing which part of the wave to collapse. Within months, an unexpected family inheritance made a down payment on a house possible. The mystery of the double slit experiment is the ultimate message of hope. It tells us that nothing is truly solid. Your problems are actually just energy waiting for a different kind of observer to show up. If you change the way you look at things, the things you look at literally change their physical behavior. You have the power to turn a wave of maybe into a particle of yes, but you have to learn how to move your camera. In the next block, we are going to talk about the observer effect in more detail, how to actually look without freezing the wrong reality. But for now, I want you to walk away from this block with one thought. What am I freezing today with my gaze? Am I freezing my debt, or am I allowing the wave of abundance to stay fluid? The choice is quite literally in your eyes. The observer effect is where the science of quantum physics becomes the most powerful spiritual tool you will ever own. It is the magic moment where thought meets matter. But here is the catch. Most people are using their power of observation like a blunt instrument. They are staring so hard at what they don't want that they are accidentally pinning their problems to the wall. To master your reality, you have to understand that your observation is not just a passive look, it is an act of interference. Think about how you feel when someone is staring at you while you're trying to type an email or cook a meal. You get nervous, right? You might make mistakes, or you might act differently than you would if you were alone. This is exactly what the electron does in the experiment. When it's not being watched, it's free. It's a wave. When it's watched, it stiffens into a particle. Your life is the same way. The areas of your life that feel the most stuck, your chronic health issues, your stagnant savings, your recurring relationship drama, are usually the areas where you are staring the hardest. Let's bring this to your daily practice with a very common example: money. When you have a stack of bills on the counter, what do? Most of us stare at them. We calculate the debt over and over. We check our bank balance every morning with a feeling of dread in our stomach. In quantum terms, you are observing the lack of money so intensely that you are forcing the quantum field to keep producing lack. You are the camera that is fixed on the poverty particle. I remember a period in my journey where I was obsessed with my physical health. I had this persistent back pain, and I would wake up every morning and immediately search for the pain. Is it still there? How bad is it today? By doing that, I was the observer forcing the wave of my body's potential health to collapse into the back pain particle every single second. I was literally not giving my cells a moment of non-observation to reorganize into a healthy state. I had to learn how to withdraw my gaze. So, how do you practically look at your desire without freezing the current problem? The secret lies in a concept I call soft observation. In the experiment, the camera is a harsh binary measurement, but as a conscious creator, you can learn to observe with your inner eye instead of your physical eyes. Imagine you were a gardener. If you plant a seed and then dig it up every 10 minutes to see if it's growing, you will kill the plant. The digging up is the harsh observation. The soft observation is knowing the seed is there, watering it, and then walking away to let the earth do its work. In your life, this means you spend 15 minutes in the morning observing your success, your health, or your new love in your mind, collapsing that wave into a mental particle. And then, for the rest of the day, you practice quantum non-observation toward your current 3D reality. I had a student who was manifesting a promotion. Every time he walked past his boss's office and saw his boss talking to someone else, he would observe a threat. He would think, oh no, maybe they are giving the job to her. He was collapsing the failure particle. I taught him to use the peripheral gaze. I told him, when you see your boss, don't stare at the situation. Just look at it as a blurry wave of work happening. Keep your sharp gaze focused only on the version of you that already has the new title. By stopping his intense observation of the competition, the tension in the office melted and the promotion came to him naturally because he was no longer interfering with the wave of his own success. This is why letting go is so often discussed in manifestation circles, but now you understand the scientific reason behind it. Letting go isn't about giving up. It's about removing the measuring device so the wave can become fluid again. When you stop obsessively measuring your weight, your body finally has the quantum space to change its metabolism. When you stop obsessively checking your ex's social media, the wave of your romantic life is finally free to collapse into a new, better partner. In my own practice, I started using a phrase that changed everything. I am currently unobserving this. If I saw something in my 3D reality that I didn't like, maybe a car repair bill or a negative comment, I would literally tell myself, I am withdrawing my camera from this. I refuse to make this solid. This isn't denial, it's quantum mastery. You are choosing to let that event stay as a wave that can quickly pass through your life, rather than a particle that gets stuck in your path. Remember, the universe doesn't give you what you want, it gives you what you observe. If you want a different life, you have to become a different kind of scientist. You have to be the one who knows when to look, and more importantly, when to look away. You have to trust that the wave knows how to become the particle of your dreams, as long as you stop staring it to death with your doubts and measurements. In the next block, we're going to talk about why your problems feel so solid and why it's so hard to look away sometimes, and how to break that visual addiction to your current struggles. Why your problems are still solid. If the science behind the double slit experiment is so clear, if all we have to do is shift our gaze to let the wave change, then why does it feel like we are fighting a stone wall every single day? Why do we wake up and observe the same lack of money, the same body aches, and the same frustrating dynamics in our relationships? The truth is, most people have unknowingly become addicted to the solidity of their problems. We have been conditioned to believe that if we stop watching our debt, if we stop monitoring our symptoms, or if we stop worrying about our future, things will somehow get worse. But as we've seen in the quantum lab, it's actually the opposite. Your constant, fearful, and intense observation is the very superglue that is freezing the problem in place. Think about the psychological pressure of the staring contest we have with our reality. Imagine you are waiting for an important career opportunity, a contract to be signed, or a specific result that will change your life. You find yourself refreshing your email every 30 seconds. Your heart rate is up, your focus is sharp, and your entire mental reality has narrowed down to that one missing thing. In quantum terms, you have become a rigid observer. You are pinning that moment of not having the result so tightly that you aren't leaving any room for the wave of success to collapse. You are essentially screaming at the quantum field, "Look, it's not here yet. See, it's still missing." And the field, being a perfect mirror, simply says, "Correct, it is missing." Have you ever felt this way? Like you're staring so hard at a problem that it's all you can see? Leave a comment below and let me know. As a mentor who has guided many through this transition, I can tell you that the reason our problems feel so solid compared to our dreams is because we involve our emotional body in the observation. In the laboratory, the measuring device is just a cold piece of machinery. It doesn't care if the electron is a wave or a particle. But in your life, your camera is fueled by adrenaline, cortisol, fear, and urgency. When you add heavy, low-frequency emotion to your observation, you are increasing the density of the particle. You are making it so heavy that it feels like an unchangeable wall of fate. This is what I call hard observation. It's when you look at your reality and say, "This is the truth, this is my life, and I have to struggle through it." The moment you accept the 3D world as the final and only truth, you have effectively closed the door on the quantum field's ability to rearrange itself. Let's look at a practical, everyday example of this hard observation in action. Suppose you are trying to manifest financial abundance, but an unexpected bill arrives in the mail today. The standard observer picks up that bill, feels a knot in their stomach, and immediately starts projecting a future of not enough. They spend the next 3 hours talking about the bill, thinking about the bill, and observing the solid particle of debt. By doing this, they are literally not giving the quantum wave a single second of non-observation to turn into a wave of unexpected income. They are keeping the debt in its solid state through the sheer force of their worried attention. In my own journey to prosperity, I had to learn that what we see in the physical world is nothing more than a delayed particle. This is a crucial concept for you to understand if you want to stop feeling stuck. Everything you are seeing with your physical eyes right now, your bank balance, your current home, your physical fitness, is a reflection of how you were observing the world yesterday, last month, or last year. It is old news. It's like looking at a star in the night sky. You aren't seeing the star as it is now, you're seeing the light that left it thousands of years ago. When you realize that your current problems are just quantum echoes of your past thoughts, they lose their power over you. They stop being solid walls and start being ghost particles. They are there, yes, but they are already losing their density because you have decided to change your gaze now. I always tell my students, Don't argue with the furniture. If you move into a new house and you don't like the old furniture left behind, you don't sit and cry about it for weeks. You just acknowledge it's there while you order the new stuff. Most people, however, spend their whole lives sitting on the old furniture of their problems, staring at it and wondering why the new reality hasn't arrived. To break this cycle, you must practice what I call quantum defocusing. This is the ability to look at a problem without measuring it. It's like when you're driving and you see a pothole in the distance. You acknowledge it's there so you can steer around it, but you don't stare at the pothole until you drive right into it. You keep your eyes on the clear road. In your life, this means acknowledging the bill exists, but immediately shifting your camera to the feeling of the solution. I once worked with a student who was stuck in a cycle of health issues. She was so addicted to her diagnosis that she had a Google alert set for her symptoms. She was observing her illness 24/7. I told her, every time you search for your symptoms, you are telling the electron to stay a sickness particle. You are the scientist who won't leave the lab, and because you are always watching, the wave can never change. The moment she stopped her hard observation and started focusing on her wave of vitality, her body finally had the quantum space to begin its natural healing process. The walls of your prison are only as solid as your commitment to staring at them. When you realize that you are the one holding the camera, you realize you have the power to turn it off. You have the power to say, I see this ghost particle of death, but I refuse to give it the fuel of my attention. I am choosing to observe the wave of infinite supply instead. This is not fake it till you make it. This is literal, high-level quantum mechanics applied to your kitchen table. In the next block, we are going to dive into how to actually master this gaze, how to look at your world in a way that collapses the right reality, and how to use this observer effect to manifest with a speed you never thought possible. Mastering the quantum gaze. Now that you understand that your observation is the superglue of your reality, we need to talk about the ultimate skill of the creator, mastering the quantum gaze. This is not just about positive thinking. This is about a disciplined, scientific control over where you place your measuring device, which is your conscious attention. If you want to collapse the gap and see real physical changes in your life, you have to flip the ratio of your observation. Most people spend 99% of their day observing their 3D reality, the solid particles, and maybe 1% imagining what they want, the wave. To see a miracle, you must become so involved in the wave of your future that the particles of your present start to feel like the illusion. One of the most effective strategies I use is the transparent reality technique. When you look at your current life, the bank account that isn't where you want it to be, the house that feels too small, or the lonely Friday nights, I want you to stop looking at them. Instead, look through them. Imagine that your physical reality is like a thin, transparent curtain blowing in the wind. Behind that curtain is the vast ocean of the quantum field, the wave of infinite possibilities. When you look at the curtain, you see the wrinkles, the dust, and the limitations. But when you look through it, you see the infinite potential waiting for you to call it into form. This technique changes your role from a passive observer to an active architect. Think about an architect looking at an empty, muddy lot of land. A passive observer sees mud, rocks, and weeds. They say, this lot is a mess, I can't live here. But the architect looks through the mud and sees the finished mansion. They can see the glass, the wood, and the garden so clearly in their mind that the mud becomes irrelevant. In your life, you must be the architect. You must look at your muddy current situation and see the mansion of your desired life so clearly that you stop measuring the mud. If this deep dive into the mechanics of your own power has opened your eyes, I want to invite you to subscribe to the channel. We are here to bridge the gap between high-level science and your daily success. By joining us, you're not just watching a video, you're joining a community of architects who are learning to master their own gaze and help this channel reach more people who are tired of being victims of their circumstances.
How do we stay in this architect frequency when the world is screaming for our attention? It requires what I call sensory sovereignty. You have to decide that your internal feelings are more real than your external evidence. I remember when I was building my own path to prosperity. There were days when the 3D evidence was discouraging, but I made a pact with myself. I will not let a delayed particle dictate my current frequency. I would close my eyes and observe my success with such sensory detail, the smell of the new car leather, the feeling of the sea breeze on a vacation I hadn't taken yet, that my body actually believed I was already there.
By giving your body the chemical signal of the future result, you are successfully collapsing that wave into a mental particle. And here is the secret sauce of the double slit experiment. Once you have collapsed a reality internally with enough consistency, the physical world must eventually align with it. It is a mathematical necessity. The universe is a giant mirror, and it has no choice but to reflect the observer that you have become. Another practical tip for mastering the quantum gaze is to stop noticing the gap. Every time you ask, "Where is it? Why hasn't it happened yet?" you are turning your camera back to the missing particle. You are observing the absence. To collapse the gap, you have to behave as if the gap doesn't exist. You have to be so satisfied with your internal wave that you aren't even checking the mail for the particle. Paradoxically, the moment you stop checking is usually the moment it arrives. It's like the watched pot that never boils. When you move your observation elsewhere, the water of your life is finally free to boil into the new form. I have seen this work for thousands of people. I've seen people who were told they would never walk again observe themselves into perfect health. I've seen people in deep debt observe themselves into multi-million-dollar businesses. They didn't do it by fighting the 3D world. They did it by withdrawing their gaze from the solid traps and placing it firmly on the infinite wave. You have the most powerful technology in the known universe sitting right between your ears. Your attention is the God mode of this reality. If you can learn to look past the echoes of your past and stay focused on the waves of your future, there is absolutely nothing that can stay solid in your way. You are the scientist, the experiment, and the observer. It's time to start observing a life that is worthy of you. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for staying until the end, for watching, and for being such a vital part of this community. Your willingness to look deeper into the nature of reality is exactly what the world needs right now. I truly appreciate your presence and your commitment to your own mastery. Thank you again for watching, for staying with us, and I am so excited to see the waves you are going to collapse in the coming days. I'll see you in the next video. To continue your journey and deepen your understanding, I've curated some of the most life-changing books on quantum physics and manifestation in the video description. These are the texts that helped me transition from a passive observer to a master creator. Also, make sure to download the free material on equal hours that I've prepared for you. It's a powerful tool to help you recognize when your observation is starting to successfully shift the field. You can find all the links right below in the description.